Okay, so this next question comes from someone who's wondering about how to pick patent-worthy innovations for your business, right? So I think there's two dimensions to that. You know, there's ideas that you should spend money on that are valuable to your business and strategic to your goals over the next decade or two, or likely to be. And there are things that the patent office are going to recognize as something that you can patent, right? Because not everything can be patented. And there are certain bright line exceptions to what you can patent, and there are certain things that are just very difficult to patent. So some of the best innovation is not patentable. I'll give it, for example, a lot of the things that simplify products are just seen as not being patentable, right? And it's a shame. Some of the best innovations are things that make things more simple. But say someone's come up with a product that has five components to it, and that you take away one component and you have four components to it, of course tremendously valuable, but not necessarily something you can get a patent on, because the one that had the five components also had the four components. So it's just kind of a quirk of how they examine things. So things that simplify, things that they'll say organize human activity, things that are largely performed by humans, right? Just really aren't technology. Business methods, things to do with particular gene sequences, you know, patenting genes, anything that has to do with providing health care, you know, might be a new medical procedure or something like that. Patents on testing, certain diagnostics that you do, also very hard to patent. There's things that might be performed by two different companies or two different entities that are unrelated and not kind of in control of each other. Those things are hard to enforce patents upon. So with regard to the first dimension, which is what is important to your company, and that's always a tough one. You know, what you might want to do is you might want to wait and see over time what customers like and appreciate, and it becomes pretty self-evident what's getting traction in the marketplace and what would be patent worthy. The problem is you have to file a patent, you know, well, that's still speculative, right? You have to do it very early in the process before you start, before you release your product, or you start marketing or telling other people about it is the best time to file your patent. So at that point, you only have kind of hopes and dreams on what might be successful. So it's very difficult to commit to spending money on protection before you know. So what I counsel clients on is think of your strategic plan and think of patents that would protect things that you feel are strategic over the next few years, not what's going to be strategic next week, because you won't have a patent next week. But say 2 to 20 years from now, what you think is going to be important. And rarely do you know, and some things really have a shelf life. It might only be important for the next 5 years, right? So looking at things that would have staying power, that would perhaps be fundamental to your product even as your product evolves, are the things that you want to try and file patents on. You know, a solution that very quickly is going to go away is probably not something you want to spend money on. But something that might become foundational to a product line or several products or a real big differentiator in the marketplace. Or another way to look at it is your existing business, you may have competitors that have lots of patents. So for a given product or product line, your competitors may have huge patent portfolios. That would be a good indication that you should probably file patents also, so that if a battle did break out, you would have your own patents that they might want to cross-license, so they're unlikely to be able to have a clean win. If they assert their patents against you, you would countersue them on your patents. So it ends up being kind of mutually assured destruction, sometimes termed death by attorney fee, where only the lawyers are really making out in a situation like that, where you have battles going back and forth. So I'd say, think about what's strategic, think about areas where your landscape research shows that other people are filing lots of patents. And then also get a gauge on what is going to get traction at the patent office. And there are tools that help with that. Triangle IP has the predictor tool, where you can load in an idea and it'll give a guess on whether or not it's going to go to a part of the patent office that's receptive to that sort of technology. And certainly your patent prosecutor, maybe your attorney that you're talking to, would know what the exceptions are, the things that you can't file patents on, that they just won't award patents. Sometimes there's another way to go after it, some sort of enabling technology for that sort of thing. But those are kind of the dimensions of the question of what is patent worthy. And it's just really hard. I tell my general advice to somebody who understands nothing about the law or kind of these moving parts is, what you want to do is you want to look for some sort of thing that you're doing differently than others and has advantages over the way things are currently done. So look for a difference, look for advantages, and then you're kind of in the realm to get a patent. And think of things that use technology. The patent is some sort of technology or development that overcomes a technological problem. That's another good way to look at it, to see what's eligible for a patent. And a lot of solutions are really not technology, right? And they may be very beneficial for your business. You have a new process for doing something, you train people in a particular way. That's not technology, that's human effort. And so technological problem with technological solution, look for those sorts of situations, and then talk to your counselor and get their advice. And with that advice, look at your strategic vision and see what marries up, and then hopefully you have an abundance of ideas that you could file patents on, and pick the ones that rise to the top, and that's going to be a good use of your patent budget. So I hope that answers your question. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any other questions.